Konem, are we ready to go? YouTube recording on? Okay. Does anyone here have a question to bring up to start?
Evan Tom yesterday afterward, and you had been talking about dreams and that life is a dream. And how do you explain a dream that is prophetic, i.e., it foresees an event that happens later? And the reason I ask this is that this has happened to me several times in my life. And the dreams were very profound. In other words, I really remember that they were very, very important for me. And so I'm wondering how to explain such a dream that it foretells a future event that actually happens.
What is the reality of dreaming?
Okay. Is Chitta and Jadasika are rising and falling away?
Seeing, not
Sorry?
not seeing, not hearing.
Well, it depends.
Really?
Depends how quiet your bedroom is. I mean, but if you're sleeping, if you're sleeping very deeply, because these particular dreams did not take place during very deep sleep.
That is a story of how it happens.
I see. Okay.
But what is it at moment of dreaming?
At moment of dreaming, it's probably a sense door.
Not probably. Exactly.
Exactly.
No, it's not moment of seeing, not moment of hearing at all. So what is that moment?
And then it's a mind door.
Thinking, just thinking.
Okay. Yeah. But then how do you explain it? It can foretell an event that happens later on.
There is seeing right now, and then there is thinking about that which is seen.
Yes.
That is not a dream, because there is sense or process in between.
Okay.
But in a dream, no
dream is only
seeing,
mind.
hearing.
But that still doesn't explain when an event foretells an actual.
Because who knows what would be next moment?
Sorry.
Who knows what is the next moment?
Oh, so it's coincidental.
There must be conditions for thinking, for
okay.
whatever arises, for sure.
For instance, okay, I'll relate the story of one of these dreams. We were in, this is like 30 years ago. This is before I met you. And my husband and I were in Japan, and we were scheduled to go to Kamakura. Because they have a big daibutsu there. Okay. And a few days before that, I had this very vivid dream, because I never remember dreams unless they're important. And in the dream, I was at Kamakura, and I was inside this building because I could see bricks on the wall and a metal like staircase and landing. And when I looked down from the landing in the dream, I was able to see the reincarnated person, or Panyati of my father, who had died years previously. And so that by the time we finally arrived at Kamakura, I was saying, oh, wow, maybe it's true. Okay, let's see if. And I'm walking around Kamakura, and I don't see any building that might describe what I saw. So I said, oh, just dream, imagination. Okay. And then I see a sign that says you can go inside the Buddha because it's hollow inside. Okay. So I walked in there, and sure enough, I see the brick wall that I saw in my dream, the exact staircase I saw in my dream. I look down, I see the little kids playing. I was able to recognize this little kid was the reincarnation of my father. I can't explain this, Ajahn. I don't know how to explain it.
Just thinking.
If it's just thinking, how would I know? Okay, right. All right. If it's just thinking, how then is it known that what's to be seen there?
Thinking again.
Just thinking. Yeah, I can see that. I can understand that, but still, I still there's the idea of an event being foreseen that happened in the future. Just thinking.
There's another possible explanation.
Okay, what?
You are a very special person.
Oh, sure, right.
No, I'm just kidding. We know that the Buddha could foretell and see in the past and so forth.
How about the future?
We know that, well, certain powers that are not associated with insight can do things. So if those powers have ever been developed in past lives, then they could still be having an effect in this life. There's no way of knowing.
Yeah. I mean, I agree totally. It's just thinking, but I can't find an explanation as to that. But your explanation seems like the most logical one as to it conditioned something from some accumulation from the past to have such a dream.
Some attainment from the past, yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Whether what you say in a dream might be past life or whatever has been occurred before, who knows?
Well, it didn't occur in this life.
Because you don't know.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, not forget it, and you see something, it's just like a dream again.
Well, that's deja vu, what they call deja vu, where you've never been to some place and you go there, one goes there and has a recollection of having been there when actually that, yes, where maybe in a previous life, there's a memory of a certain place. But so it could be a form of deja vu, something like that.
I think Ajahn point is that if you have a dream tonight, there's no way of knowing whether it is an accurate prediction of something that's going to happen or not.
That's it. Of course, when the dream took place, I had no idea it was accurate. Right. I just anticipated that it might be. And I remember when I got there, I didn't see the building first, and I thought, it's always, it's my imagination, okay. And then when I went into there, I saw exactly what I saw in my dream. How do I explain it? I went into the building, so it might have been some kind of form of deja vu.
Betty, I think one of the things that Ajahn was trying to convey was that no matter whether it's deja vu, whatever we call it, we have the impression that, oh, I've been here before or whatever. The reality at that time is that it's just thinking. And it's more important to understand that thinking is thinking.
There are many known phenomena like this. For example, Betty, the people that, the so-called psychics that can see an event that happened previously that they were not a witness to, but they can.
Right, that kind of thing.
That kind of thing.
How is this explained?
Well, it's all the same kind of thing.
It's always some kind of.
It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not normal, but the fact that it's abnormal, doesn't mean that it has any significance for the present, other than the fact that there's some residual special ability that manifests as a way of thinking.
Yeah,
it's all thinking.
Right. This I agree.
And when one keeps thinking about it, it's more and more clinging
more attachment.
Right.
I had an experience similar to yours when I was young, and it was actually when I went to Sarnath, I knew my way around, and it was just like a place in a dream. And there used to be so much clinging to it, but it's just another story. It's just another fantasy of no importance whatsoever. So what is much more precious is
about the future.
understanding the thinking as it is and
That's-
letting go of the clinging.
That's why I
Absolutely, letting go. of the
made the
clinging is
tongue-in-cheek comment
Uh,
about.
No, the
being
reason I
special
brought it
person.
up, because I don't think about it all, but it's not something I really think about very often. But because it was brought up in the discussion about dreams, so that job, that was a conditioned job memory.
We're interested in our own experience in this regard, particularly, obviously, it's difficult to let go and to just think of it as something that happened by conditions.
Actually a hindrance because one just keeps thinking about that story again and again. So it hinders the understanding of just what appears thinking as a Dharma that's gone instantly, not my thinking, not anything that's special. Actually, it makes no difference whether it's thinking about the cup or thinking about the temple in Japan. It's just another idea that is thought about.
And Mom Betty too, there are examples in the text of what might be called a sort of foreknowledge. And I think of Kosala Dewi. She was King Bimbisara's consort wife. And she had a dream, and she was like, she wanted to eat the king's blood or something like this, or drink the king's blood from his knee or something. And she went to the local dream, I suppose, interpreters of the time, and they told her that this child, and this is not, this child was, I've always remembered it because I was just so impressed by King Bimbisara. And the dream told her that this child to be born, a Jatasattu, which literally means unborn enemy, and that's where he got that name, would probably kill or attempt to kill his father. And King Bimbisara, when he heard about this, his wife wanted to kill the child, but he was Sotapana. He loved that child. He didn't want to harm that child, even though he knew that this was possibly true. He never wanted to harm that child. And latterly in life, when it came to pass that he was instrumental in killing his father, Ajatasattu, now king, said to his mother, because he had a son that was just recently born, and he said to his mother, did my father, King Bimbisara, love me as much as I love my son? And she said, you have no idea how much he cared for you. So he was deeply affected by that and wanted to change what had come to be, of course, but he could not do that. And he was wise in his own ways, and it points to different accumulations we have. And in the Samanyapala Sutta, when the Buddha spoke that sutta to him, the Buddha said at the end of the sutta to the bhikkhus were there, that fellow, King Bimbisara, Ajatasattu, who had killed his father, he would have understood, he would have become Sotapana if he had not killed his father. But because he had committed Garuka Kamma, the most heinous type of karma that humans can commit, he could not penetrate the Dhamma. So I was always struck by that, that how we all have amazing and intricate accumulations, but of course, some of them can be very dangerous.
That story was in the Tipitaka, in the Sutta, right? What was the lesson that was to be learned, that the Buddha said was to be learned from that story?
Well, I mean, I've read a little, quite a bit in the text, and I just remember, I'm not sure, some commentary somewhere, but it's certainly in the Samanyapala Sutta, in the Digha Nikaya, which I think is the second sutta there, in the Digha, the Buddha said to the bhikkhus after he preached that sutta that Ajatasattu, who was now king, having killed his father, would have become enlightened if he hadn't have done so. That part is in the sutta proper. It's not in the commentaries, but the other bits about Kosala Dewi, who was the the queen consort of Bimbisara, that is in the commentary somewhere, probably Dhammapada commentary, I'm not exactly sure, but it's there anyway. I was just really struck by it, how the king, knowing what was probably true, he couldn't harm, he would never have intention as a Sotapanna to kill anybody, let alone his son. And that really struck me.
Asking a question at the start. Are you ready to go with that?
Hello. So I was asking John earlier about the question yesterday that I asked, and John said about anxiety, that it's like it's a concept. It's not something that's happening now. So I asked you that if it's a concept like anxiety, because like before there would be thinking for me that oh, right now there's anxiety, just a moment ago there's anger, it's all concept. And my question is, if it's a concept, it's like a conglomerate of like a group of many moments of seeing, hearing, thinking, and lova, dosa. So before this, I thought that anxiety is just dosa. And my question is that it's more than that, right? It's many moments, right?
I think two things here. I said the conventional idea of I'm angry and this is anger that's happening now. At that moment, it is thinking about anger that has fallen away, right? Because it's not the direct experience of the characteristic of the anger at that moment. It's just knowing that I'm angry, as any being can know. Even an animal may know, I don't know, but it's certainly a human being. That was one point. The other point is that it's possible for some of what we call emotions to be a combination of dosa and other factors. For example, I think of nostalgia when we think of the good old days of the past, and there's a kind of attachment to that and a regret or that it's no longer there. And it's a kind of a mixed feeling. And certainly it's a combination then of attachment and sorrow at what has gone, is no longer present. Attachment to the past and sorrow that something is no longer present. So there it's quite clearly, I think, alternating dosa and attachment. But for the other examples we gave of dosa, starting with mild irritation, strong hatred, fear, etc., they are, for the most part, just dosa. Just dosa. It's possible that other akusala mental factors could be involved in some, like if one looks at the other akusala mental factors, envy is one, so there can be, conceit is another. Conceit can condition dosa quite clearly, right? When our conceit makes us have dosa, if we are made to look silly, for example, then we feel that will condition dosa. The cause of that is the conceit, which arises with attachment, stinginess, regret, envy. So there are emotions that could be a combination of those mental factors. But for the most part, the dosa mental factor can manifest in many different kinds of dosa that we know about.
Thank you.
And cousin, is it Pon? I don't know. I forget if you're familiar with the Pali terms, like you know what dosa is, that it's aversion. When there's not liking something, when there's fear or anxiety, different kinds of dosa or aversion, very slight or very strong, always with unpleasant feeling. And I know that you have a question you would like to bring up as well, because Dream told me.
My question is like, no, I like, but we still have like negative thinking come to my feeling, and how to deal with the negative thinking in the mind.
Hello. May I explain? Because he told me like he told me in Thai, which is more kind of detailed, so that might be helpful for you guys to like have better answers. So I guess it's his concern is that like I mean, I also want to know you guys' wise words about this, because like I also have this thinking occur. So the thinking is that like there's wanting of, I guess, money, because money makes us happy. It brings pleasure. I mean, like when you go shopping, there's pleasure always, and a lot of people can relate to that, you know. And I guess it's not only money. It could be like meditation. It depends on that person belief, but I think it boils down to that, like this misconception that pleasure is good and unpleasant is bad. And like me and Palm, like we always try to get more pleasure, and run away from unpleasant. And like I can see like a lot of people do that, including myself and Palm too. And he says he sees that as well, but I don't think that's the problem. But the problem is that we think that this is the truth, and the truth is depressing and sad. I think that's the problem. Maybe you guys can help us understand a little bit more, because the truth, I'm sure the truth is not depressing. And he says he's struggling with that. He's yeah.
Buddha said that what we think of as happiness and bringing of joy and pleasure is actually not happy, not good at all. And what we think of as not worthwhile or not interesting is actually worthwhile. So what you describe, when there is looking for more pleasant feeling, looking for more shopping, looking for more money, looking for more happiness, and trying to avoid what is unpleasant and difficult. This is actually what the Buddha taught. It's the following of attachment, of lobha, all the time. So lobha is like the follower or the student that follows wherever we go. And it's also the leader that we follow all the time. And we think that that is real pleasure and real happiness in life. But when there's difficulty or disturbance, when the money is lost, when there's unhappy feeling, we don't realize that the real cause of all that unhappiness and anxiety and disturbance is because of following lobha all the time. So the Buddha taught that the cause of all that is unsatisfactory in life is actually lobha, attachment. And the true happiness is the happiness of letting go, the happiness of understanding with detachment, the opposite of attachment, accepting whatever is conditioned at this moment. Like earlier, we were talking about Betty's example of dreaming, and the maybe clinging to this dream or that one, hoping to have it again and again, thinking it's something important, instead of just understanding it's thinking. It's just thinking of no importance, no consequence at all, and it's gone. Whatever pleasant feeling there is now is gone instantly. So looking for the pleasant feeling, trying to have it again and again, just brings more and more unhappiness, because each moment of pleasant feeling doesn't last at all. So in truth, whatever arises and falls away in life is unsatisfactory because it doesn't last at all. It's gone instantly, but it's the object of clinging. So it's like there's clinging all the time to thin air, to nothing at all, hoping it will bring some satisfaction, but it doesn't. Like you go to the shopping mall and you buy this item of clothing, and for a moment there's pleasant feeling, but maybe you get home and it's not the right color, or it doesn't fit so well after all. So it's just a very fleeting moment of pleasant feeling. It never lasts, nothing lasts at all.
And just to add, I think it's good to recognize that the chasing after a pleasant feeling is futile and not of any value in itself, but also the disappointment of not getting what one wants is bound to follow that, just as night follows day. That's another thing the Buddha mentioned. But thirdly, there's no point in getting depressed about it, which is I think what Tin said, find it depressing, because according to the Buddha, there is a way out of it all, that one can be beyond chasing after pleasant feeling and then the disappointment of not having what one wants so much, etc. And that was his teaching, that there is the possibility of escape from it all, but it takes a very long time. But that's the kind of thing we discuss here, because the end result or goal of awareness and understanding is the ending of chasing after pleasant feeling and experiencing disappointment at not getting what one wants.
I'd perhaps add to that too that kusala citta can arise with pleasant feeling too. It's not they're not contradictory. You know, kusala citta with piti, yes, piti can arise with akusala, but it also can arise with kusala. And I think Jonathan made a point yesterday, which I thought was a good one, that in development of understanding, people often shy away from akusala. They don't forget that it can be an object of understanding when there is akusala. We don't like often akusala, so we are inclined to push it away or to not understand it as it is. It's just a conditioned Dhamma. It's arisen, and the same with unpleasant feeling or pleasant feeling for that matter. So in the development of understanding, whether it's kusala chitta, with pleasant feeling, and piti, there can be understanding. It's just the nature of things, you know. It's not something I don't think to necessarily overly focus on. It's a good question, but there are always different dhammas arising, and whenever they've arisen, they've arisen. And when we consider the Dhamma carefully, they can be understood little by little.
And what I want to say is that it always have been like this depression and happiness and all that. It has to happen in our daily life because this how it is. It's been like this. We talk about Dharma. We are it's meant to be understand. So not that trying to not have depression and all that, or try to select and all that. But whatever happened and Pandya understand in that moment, that's the important part, because that is true is here. It's whatever is whatever.
So attachment and wanting pleasant feeling brings disappointment. That's something one can keep in mind, perhaps.
The other important point to keep in mind is that these are just different kinds of realities. Attachment, disappointment, kindness, seeing now, hearing now. They don't belong to me or anyone. I'm sure you've heard about this before, like when we met last time, that in truth, it's not my disappointment, my clinging, my seeing now. They are just different kinds of realities. And the other question is, what about now? Is there disappointment now?
With disappointment now because it's no I, like you explained before.
So the disappointment before has gone.
Yeah.
So now it's just thinking about what has already gone, like the dream that's gone. So it's of no importance because it's completely gone. So what about now? What is real now?
It's just hearing you teaching or explaining.
Okay, so
Yep.
hearing now
Yep.
is real. So even at this moment, hearing is the world for a moment when it hears. At a moment of hearing, is there any disappointment?
There is no disappointment now because because the moment I'm sitting here, listen to you.
So at a moment of hearing, no disappointment. At a moment of hearing, no clinging. So the world is just hearing for that moment, and then it's gone. At a moment of seeing, just seeing which arises and experiences its object, and then gone. No disappointment, no clinging at that moment. So that's why we always have to come back to this moment, because there can only be understanding of what appears, what is experienced now. So hearing is real now. Seeing is real now. What does the hearing hear now?
What is the hearing here now is just hear discussion about the lopa and what is no I in here. Try to lose yourself like no I, but sometimes when I go out, I still have I in my mind. Not good understanding.
How long does hearing last for?
Just like really fast.
Just a very quick moment.
Yeah.
So what is heard now? How long does what is heard now can now be this long story you gave about the discussion and what I said and what I thought and what someone else said? Can that be what is heard right now at this moment?
it's just finished already.
That's all gone.
Yes.
So what is actually heard now?
Now it's my thinking to analyze what
Can-
you say.
Can hearing hear thinking? What can hearing experience now?
What is hearing is experience now is like you speaking.
And if you had never heard about what was said or the thinking, would hearing hear you thinking? Or does hearing just hear the sound and then there is thinking about you speaking and what you say?
Can be matching, like happen and then when finish hearing, right, I thinking after that.
Thinking
Yeah.
instantly, immediately.
Yeah.
So like you said, the hearing is just for a moment and then it's gone. And what hearing hears for a moment is not you speaking and what you're saying. It's just the sound that is heard for a moment and then gone. But the many, many moments of hearing, of many sounds, and in between, thinking, many, many moments of thinking about the meaning of the sound, thinking about the voice, thinking about the speaker, thinking about the meaning. So much thinking. So most of the day there is thinking about what is seen, thinking about what is heard, thinking about what is touched. So when we were talking about dreaming, actually it's non-stop thinking about what has been seen or heard in the past. But now it's also dreaming most of the time, with just very brief moments of seeing and hearing in between the thinking. So we come closer and closer to understand what is life now, a moment of hearing of just sound, a moment of seeing of just what is visible, and thinking about many ideas. And the point of understanding more about now is to understand that actually there's no me, no my experience, no my disappointment or depression or clinging, just different moments of seeing, hearing, thinking, liking, disliking, all arising by conditions and gone instantly, not in your control or anyone's control.
Thank you.
Are we living in a world? Are we now living in a world?
We.
Good, but who's speaking?
Yeah, that's the question, important question.
Is there any
Right.
understanding of what's meant by are we living in the world?
Actually, it's no we living.
Okay. No, we. So what is that?
That is very curious question. Yes. No. So can you explain, please?
No, we.
Yes.
But there is something, right?
Yes.
And we don't really understand the truth of it yet. But is there something? So we can learn about what is there, little by little. If there is no reality which arises and experience an object, can there be the world or I or thing?
Cannot be. We understand the truth.
So in truth, it's there from birth, experiencing moment to moment, different realities from time to time. And the reality which is conditioned to arise to experience. No one can make it arise at all. But there is, in truth, Nobody can make it, nobody can change it, because it's there by conditions. That which arises and experience an object, right? So there is a reality which arises and experiences an object. What is it?
Reality, condition reality is like a reality happen.
No way to think about it if we haven't heard about the truth of life at all. It's seeing a moment of that which arises to see only. That's right. Learn to understand that there's no we, no thing, no one, but there are different realities arising and falling away unknowingly. Now, seeing arises by conditions and then gone, never to arise again. That's why it cannot be taken for I or anyone at all. So in truth, what is there, no matter in this world or other world or anywhere, there must be the reality which arises and experiences an object. Otherwise, nothing can be known at all. That's why it's a reality conditioned to arise just to see. Without the eye base, without that which can impinge on it, can they be seeing right now? No eye base.
You mean no eye, right?
No eye base, the eye,
Oh.
eye sense or eye base.
If no eyes, you cannot see.
So it's just conditioned reality. Just arise and see, that's all, and then gone.
Yeah.
Can it hear?
You cannot hear if no ear.
Can seeing hear?
No, cannot.
Can seeing think?
Cannot.
So what is hearing?
Just voice.
Hearing.
Hearing is just someone speaking.
In
Yeah.
truth, it's
Yeah.
the moment of that which arises to hear
Oh.
by conditions again.
Oh.
And that's the meaning of the world. Without anything arising and falling away at all, there is no world. Is the sun a world?
Mm.
Why not?
No.
That's what that can be the understanding gradually about now, a reality which arises and experience, and that which cannot experience, it is conditioned to arise just to be hard or heat or cold or soft or smell. That's all. Is it true? Just learning to understand what in life from moment of birth to death, and on and on and on. When there are conditions for whatever arises, it has to arise. No one can stop it arising at all. That's why learning to understand the meaning of what is there is as it is. It arises to see, it arises to hear. So learn to understand that where's I? In truth, no I at all. Otherwise, there can be the idea that I listen and I have different idea, never before at all, different ones. But in truth, what is that? From moment to moment, to understand the absolute truth, to learn to let go the idea of self, because it's been accumulated quite a long time ago. And it's there. As soon as they're seeing, what is after that? No understanding of seeing right now. That's why we learn to understand life closely, closer and closer to the truth. that the absolute truth now is not as it appears at all. Does seeing arise? Does it fall away? But it doesn't appear that it's now arising and falling away. Touch this. It's hard. Just move a little bit. Hardness again, but it's not the same one as just a moment ago. And in a day, see many things around unknown, and take it for eye at moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. That's right, to be truthful to the truth, to understand the truth, that nobody can change the truth at all. That's why life is just like a dream. What is there in a dream is there now. Even when it's not a dream, what is there just a moment ago, gone, never to arise again. Nothing. From moment to moment, gone, never to arise again. Is that true? So the teachings of the Buddha is not just to believe, but to understand, to have firm confidence of the truth, to understand the teaching about no one and nothing. Another word in Pali, anatta. So atta is something like this or that, something. But anatta, it's not as it appears at all, as a glass, a table, a chair, but it's only that which appears to that which experiences it. For example, seeing experiences only that which impinges on the eye base, not at the back. Whatever does not impinge on the eye base cannot be seen. So it's just there. So short, because now it seems like there are many moments, not just seeing. There's hearing and thinking and liking and feeling many things. Not in a moment, many moments, changing from moment to moment. So whatever arises falls away. So where's I or thing? In truth. Otherwise, it's just a word. There's no I. It's hearing which hears. But if there's no understanding of the nature of seeing or hearing, how can it let go the idea of I see and I hear? And not just the word nama or rupa. Everyone knows what is meant by nama, that which arises and experiences an object. Just the word. But now, that which is nama, what is its characteristic, which is nama, not the word nama, it's nama, but it is a reality which experiences an object. So there are two different kinds of realities. One arises to experience an object. Whenever it arises, it experiences an object. And the other arises by conditions, but it cannot experience anything at all. Hardness doesn't know who touches. So no matter what in this world or other world or anywhere, what is there has to be the characteristic which experiences an object or that which cannot experience the object. Is there you? Okay.
Yes.
Is there your hand?
No.
Is there your leg?
No leg.
Okay.
Yes.
But it's there when it appears. Hardness, no matter where in the body, and not understanding the truth of it, it's still my leg or my hand. That's right, to understand the absolute truth that what is meant by no thing and no one at all. What is there is just a characteristic of a reality. When it's experienced, it's there. Is there still hardness now at the body?
Yes.
Really?
Touch it microphone.
See, only at moment of touching, it's there. But when there is no touching and no thought about it, is it there?
No.
That's why it's so temporary, so short. That's the way that arises, falls away instantly. That it's not known. It doesn't show up now. But from hearing again and again and again, just a little move from here to there. See, different moment. It's not there anymore. That which has been touched before that very moment. And everything is just like this, but it's not known. No thought about it. But when there is hearing about the truth of what is there now, it begins to understand what is true and what is not true. Is that the body now? Again.
Yes.
Is that the eye now?
Yes. No, no. Actually, it's yes.
See how strong it has been accumulated to take it for permanent thing. That's why just live in a moment, only a moment. And that moment is not long at all, just very shortly. Arising and falling away. The moment of arising is not the moment of falling away, even one moment. Is there a glass?
No glass.
Is there a table?
No table.
Begin to understand the world little by little. And this is the teaching of the enlightened one for anyone who understands the truth little by little, until it can be moment of directly experience the truth of what Buddha said. The reality which experiences an object, seeing right now, it's gone. Many moments unknown, as it's not there anymore. Even right now, it's not hearing. Seeing is not hearing, but it seems like they are now appearing, both hearing and seeing. That's why one learns to be truthful to the truth, to understand the breaking word. Whatever arises now falls again, falls away instantly.
I just want to ask something. We say that there are no chair and there's no glass or whatever, but and then we say that it's anatta, but this is not the real understanding. We're just speaking with ignorance. It's nothing to do, it's not yet our own understanding. That's the thing that detached the ignorance. Like we can say also now, no legs, no me, no seeing, hearing and smelling, but that is talking with ignorance. That not panya at all. So it's just ignorance on ignorance only. It have to benefit is when there is panya that understand. That's the point, not the speaking any word with ignorance.
To be the beginning of the right considering, because if we never hear about these realities, then understanding cannot begin to develop at all. So when you said that there's no glass, what is seen now?
Object.
Right.
Just the object.
Just the object.
Yes.
Just, we can say the visible object or the color, but when there's the idea of glass, what is the reality?
Reality is when you just seeing and you know that it's the God because it's remember for a long time.
Right. So there's remembering at every moment. So actually just what is seen, what is visible is seen, but because of past remembering, there is thinking instantly, thinking about the different colors, thinking about the straw and the glass because of memory, which conditions that thinking. Can you remember or think about anything?
Cannot.
Cannot, because no you to do anything. So just moments of seeing, moments of thinking because of different kinds of remembering. And the depression or the disappointment you mentioned before that is completely gone, how long did it last for?
Very fast. Now is very fast because
Very fast.
Yeah.
Whatever arises is gone very, very fast. We may think, oh, there was disappointment for a whole day. But actually, the disappointment is just for a moment. The clinging now is just for a moment. The seeing now is just for a moment. The thinking about is just for a moment. Whatever arises is for a moment and then gone. Nothing left of it at all. And so now at the moment of touching, what is touched, what is experienced?
just the object.
Just hardness, or sometimes it may be warmth or coldness. And that reality which is touched, the heart, the warmth or the hardness, how long is it experienced for?
It depends on how you touch long or
Let's say now, how long does the touching experience the warmth for?
Oh,
just
default role.
Just for a moment and then gone,
Yeah.
yes. And Ajahn mentioned two kinds of realities. There are those realities which experience an object. And she mentioned the word nama. Are you familiar with this term, nama?
not really.
No, okay.
Yeah.
So this is a new term, nama. So any reality that experiences an object, like seeing, we've mentioned, hearing, thinking, touching, attachment, disappointment, these are all namas because they experience an object. And then there are those realities that don't experience anything that are called rupas. Can you consider or think about some examples of rupas, any reality that doesn't experience anything?
Can you explain again, Lupa?
Right. So the namas are the realities that experience an object, like seeing experiences an object, hearing experiences an object, thinking experiences an object, touching experiences an object. Can you think of any realities that don't experience an object?
Thinking.
Thinking experiences an object. If there's thinking about the dream, thinking about the story of the glass, thinking about who is speaking, thinking experiences that idea. What realities don't experience anything?
I don't know. So
For example, now, the moment of hearing. What is heard at the moment of hearing?
sound.
Sound. Does the sound experience anything?
No. Not experience anything.
Sure.
Would you explain more, please?
It's correct, but I could see you were not sure. So hearing experiences the sound, but the sound doesn't know anything. It doesn't experience anything. It's not interested in anything, doesn't cling to anything. It's just the reality that is heard at that moment of hearing. So sound is an example of a rupa, a reality that doesn't experience anything. What about the hardness you mentioned that is touched? Does the hardness experience anything?
Maybe not. Not sure.
When touching, the touching experiences the hardness or the warmth, as you mentioned, but the hardness that is touched, does the hardness experience anything?
Actually, it's same with hearing.
Same as hearing or the same as sound?
Same as sound.
Sound.
Yeah.
So just like the sound, the hardness doesn't experience anything.
Yeah.
And the warmth doesn't experience anything. And the visible object that is seen doesn't experience anything. So these are all examples of rupas. So in life, that which is real is nama or rupa. And what is taken for a self or me are actually just different namas and rupas, realities that experience an object and realities that don't experience anything, arising and falling away all the time. And the world Ajahn mentioned is just at this moment, at the moment of seeing. Seeing is the world, and it experiences visible object, which is gone instantly. So this is the world at one moment, just what is seen. At another moment, the world is just the sound. At that moment of sound, which is experienced, no disappointment, no clinging, no seeing, just that world for a moment and then gone. So what is the point of hearing about these different realities in life now? To find out more about the truth,
Yeah.
and to find out that the self that we find so important and we think can control life and can find happiness or whenever we like and stop having disappointment and so on, is just a fantasy. There is no self at all. No one that can control anything in life. So the truth is anatta, no self, no thing, no cup, no ajahn, no table, no being, no thing of any kind. So this is the point of studying. Is it interesting?
Very interesting.
Good. Appreciate your interest to hear and consider.
Thank
Is
you.
it easy to follow and understand?
Yeah, when I'm be here, it's easy. When I leave the room, actually, it's return.
This is why we have to hear many, many times.
Yes.
Good. Maybe it's time for Nina's topic. Oh, she's gone. Oh, Janami.
So you now, what is there at moment of birth?
Just it. The moment of birth. Oh, just
What's born? No, you.
no. Yes.
So what's that? What is there?
Object.
The reality which arises and experience an object, different from seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking. But there must be a reality which arises and experience an object. That is life, what is meant by life. Can that which not being able to experience object life, can it be life?
Cannot.
Why?
Or no feeling.
It doesn't know anything.
And so we can say experiencing is one way of describing it, and consciousness would be another way of describing it. Experiencing is synonymous with life, right? Life and experiencing, it means the same thing. If there's no experiencing, there's no life. So at the first moment of life, which is the moment of conception, we're not talking about physical birth, but at the moment that life begins for this lifetime, conception, there must be some kind of experiencing. Of course, there's no way for us to know or for that to be known at the time, but we can appreciate that the first moment of life is a moment of experiencing. And also the last moment of life is a moment of experiencing too. But it is not followed by, it's followed by the first moment of the next life. So we think of death as the end of something, but actually it's just another moment of experiencing in the succession of experiencing different objects.
Anyone die?
Experience, like John said. Death. There is no death,
So what is there?
just experience.
The end of this life? No more seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching.
Yep.
And what is the reality of death?
There is gone.
The death moment cannot see. It cannot hear. Not keep our life, it's not life continuum. The end, the karma to condition moment of being this this person, and at that very moment of death, deprived from personality as someone or I. So one can be this personality only in this life. Long or short, we don't know. Maybe tomorrow, no more this person. Possible?
Yes, possible.
So what's the next moment after death?
Nothing. After that, we don't know.
But what's after seeing right now?
After seeing happen and gone.
There is seeing and seeing gone.
Yeah.
And what is the next moment?
Thinking.
But when is there any seeing after death?
No.
Mhm.
So in life, there is one moment of experiencing after another. And the leader in experience is the chitta, the consciousness. For example, seeing is a chitta, which is a leader in experiencing what is visible. Hearing is a leader. It's a chitta which experiences sound. At moments of thinking, there are chittas which experience the idea, the dream that is thought about. So like an electric current, there is always one chitta following another, one moment of consciousness following another with no gap. And the last moment of life, in this life, the death consciousness, is another chitta, another moment of experiencing its object, and falls away instantly like all the other moments of experiencing. And it has to be followed by another chitta, another moment of consciousness, because life continues on and on until all the defilements have been completely eradicated. So while there is still clinging and ignorance, life continues on. So after the death consciousness, which is the last moment of this life, the first moment of the new life follows instantly. It's just another moment, the birth consciousness. So the birth consciousness follows on in a new life, followed by more moments of thinking and seeing and hearing and so on. So actually, it's not a person who dies and a person who is born. It's just one moment of consciousness following another, on and on and on, from this life to the next life. Each death consciousness followed by another birth consciousness. Nina, would you like to bring up your topic or question for the day?
Last night I read about the ayatanas, and the ayatanas help so much to understand that there is no self. There are the inner ayatanas and the outer ayatanas, and they associate. When they associate, they are ayatanas. So it's so important subject to understand there is no self. So I think, I remember in the bus in India, there was a monk with us who reminded us all the time about the ayatanas. He said in Thai, ayatana painai, the inner ayatanas, ayatana painok, the outer ayatanas. So I think it's very nice if Ajahn can elaborate a little more, because it's not theory at all. Since they associate at this moment, and Ajahn asked us before, is there ayatana now? So that was a very good reminder that it is not theory at all. There is no association with seeing the inner ayatana, and I sense an inner ayatana, and cetasikas, which are dhammayatana. It's impossible that there can be seeing, but we forget, we are forgetful. So it's a very good way of reminding that there is no self.
Actually, what we have been talking about in simple English is just this topic. For example, we talked about how hearing hears sound. If there is no sound that has arisen and the sound has not impinged on the ear sense, there cannot be the hearing of that sound. So the sound and the ear sense are conditions for hearing to arise. And at the moment of hearing of sound, we can say there is the meeting of all those realities, the sound that is heard, the ear sense, and the hearing. The ear sense is called the inner ayatana that Nina is referring to, and the sound is the outer ayatana, and the hearing is another inner ayatana. Any chitta, any moment of consciousness is inner ayatana. So there's always the meeting of inner and outer ayatanas in order for there to be the experience at this or any other moment. So there has to be the coming together of those realities for there to be that experience at the moment of hearing, and then it's gone.
In absolute sense, can there be just a reality arising alone?
Never alone.
Never alone. So when they meet, see, no matter what, it means ayatana. The meeting moment, the meeting point, or the meeting place, it doesn't matter at all. As long as there is the understanding that nothing can arise alone, there must be other reality together. It meets, or it's there, meeting. So it's Phassa-yatana. Phassa-yatana, Sanya-yatana.
Ina, your voice.
Yatana.
Ina, you didn't open your mic.
To understand what is the meaning of ayatana, what is meant by the truth of ayatana, it just to be reminded nothing can arise alone, and what is there together is ayatana. So at moment of seeing, is the eye sense or eye base there, not far away yet? It's there, meeting together with that which impinges on it. So what is the outer ayatana and what is the inner ayatana? That's just the meaning of each moment. But it depends on whether it's known or not. For example, while one is fast asleep, there is no understanding of ayatana or anything. But at moment of seeing, it's the moment of understanding, a moment of reality happen or arise together, not just only one. Because there must be that which is seen at moment of seeing, and that which is seen is not a seeing. Is it ayatana? At moment of seeing is there together with cetasika. So there is manayatana for citta, which sees, and dhammayatana for cetasikas, which arise at that moment with the seeing consciousness. That's why the outer ayatana at moment of seeing, citta is manayatana, inside, and dhammayatana are cetasikas arising together. That's why the truth has to be, the truth never changes. Is phassa at moment of seeing ayatana.
Yes.
See, this is the understanding. And when you read into Tipitaka, you will find the word phassa-yatana, vedana-yatana, sanya-yatana. No doubt about sanya-yatana or neva sanya, na sanya-yatana. See, no doubt about the details of how one moment conditioned to arise. What are there? Ayatana. So is Vedana now ayatana?
Yes.
Dhammayatana. We don't have to say many words for each cetasika. they are Dhammayatana, as Chitta is Manayatana. Cetasika is Dhammayatana.
Anachan, because Chitta is a chief of experience an object, so Chitta is inner ayatana. Cetasika does arise together, but they are not the leader in to know the object, so they are outer ayatana, right?
Chitta is there, arising, experiencing an object, but it depends on what Cetasika is arising with that very moment. For seeing consciousness, only 7 Cetasikas as ayatana, but at the moment, more than that. That's why whatever is there is ayatana. That's why we say manayatana, the innermost is chitta, because sometimes Cetasika arising with it, and sometimes the other Cetasika arising with it. But the 7 Cetasikas have to arise with each chitta. That's why Cetasikas are Dhammayatana, because it's not chitta. To realize what are they just in a moment, meeting together.
So all Cetasika are outer ayatana.
Right, because it's not chitta. So when there is the clear understanding of what is meant by ayatana, no doubt about phassa yatana, vedana yatana, sanya yatana, lopa yatana, or whatever, when it's there. Is there ayatana now?
Yes, yes.
Depending on inner and outer. Can the eye base be the outer ayatana?
No. No.
Because when whatever is experienced, the inner ayatana at moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching must be there inside. No doubt about ayatana, no doubt about inner and outer ayatana. And nibbana, outer or inner ayatana.
At Lokutara Chitta time, I'm not sure, maybe outer, because Chitta experience Nibbana. I'm not sure about this one.
Ayatana, because any subtle rupa, any cetasika or nibbana, always alta ayatana.
Okay.
Just when it's experienced only.
Is nibbana real?
Nibbana is real.
At a moment of experiencing nibbana, how many ayatanas are there?
They are Chitta, which is innermost, then the Chetasika, but they are outside, outer ayatana. Then Nibbana are outer because as an object for Chitta at that time. And then there's I mean, do we consider Hataya Rupa as inner ayatana? No.
At the moment of thinking, like now at a moment of thinking, there's just the chitta that thinks, the manayatana, and the cetasikas, the dhammayatana, at that moment of thinking, at the moment of experiencing nibbana, the manayatana, the lokuttara chittas, nibbana, the dhammayatana, and the cetasikas, the dhammayatana.
Thank you.
Do we have to name it?
No.
Outer ayatana or inner ayatana?
No.
Just to understand.
And do you have a topic you wanted to bring up? Tomorrow. Alberto, did you have anything you wish to bring up today?
When talking about ayatana and talking about seeing, we there are only 7 Dhamma ayatana, and there is chitta is inner ayatana, and the outer, the Dhamma ayatana are not. They do neither of these 7 Chatasika can appear in daily life, but the inner ayatana is the can appear even if it's not understood as a reality, because it's only one moment, but that moment is there. It's manayatana. It's like it cannot be anything else. It cannot be loba. It cannot be loba. There cannot be dosa. There cannot be unpleasant feeling. It's it can only be chitta. Unlike when there is a mind or process, when there is other chittas which are more have more chatasika arising with them, and so maybe that's when the outer ayatana can appear, like loba and dosa and even Vedana. But Vedana can also appear at the body with the body consciousness. Just some considering about ayatanas. That's it.
Inner ayatana, it's more evident. Is that your point?
Seeing is seeing is appearing.
What about eye sense?
What about?
It's an inner ayatana.
Yeah, sorry.
Is it appearing?
I don't. No. Yeah, but in the case of see the eye base and visible, the inner ayatana, which is the eye base, and the outer ayatana, which is the visible object, it's the visible object which appears even when seeing arises. I'm not sure what I'm talking about.
And why do we talk about ayatana?
because they are true, because because they are there now, and we don't know anything about them. But we learn about them by hearing the teachings, and we can see that ayatanas are not ayatana can be understood by only by understanding.
To understand the truth that actually there's no one and nothing at all, no matter in what moment.
Nina, just now you went somewhere. Do you have anything to talk? Continue your point.
You asked me something. I cannot hear you very well.
No, you just went outside, right? We were talking about ayatanas.
Yeah, because it was home care. Home care called me.
Oh.
And interrupted me. But it helps that there is no self and only realities by conditions. And the Buddha taught so many details to different aspects. And ayatana is one aspect that can help us. That we may doubt very much whether there is a self or a person or not. And all the time we mix the conventional realities and the absolute realities. And the ayatanas helps to understand more about anatta.
So no matter we talk about realities by way of dhatu or ayatana, just to be reminded that they are real, but they are not known at all. Now they're seeing, we don't have to think about what ayatana it is, but it's there. And also that which is seen is there, different realities, only that. And it means that at moment of hearing, there's no that seeing and visible object. Different moments, different ayata, different realities by conditions. And we can talk more about each condition for whatever is there condition. For example, what is pattaya for the ideas to condition seeing and so on. The more we learn about the truth, the details of realities, it gradually conditions the letting go unknowingly, no other way at all. It's not just try to sit and think over it a lot. That is not the way. But the way is moment of understanding, and understanding develops gradually by its own, by conditions. That's all. A little more confidence.
Yes, yeah, it all helps.
But what degree is not known yet until it's there. Different degrees of understanding.
Yes.
Just learn about the truth.
But we can repeat the terms and not have the real understanding of them. Only theory of ayatana, outer ayatana, inner ayatana, in theory.
By conditions only.
Yeah.
Nina, when they can be direct awareness of this reality because they are real and they do appear. So they could be when they are conditioned for direct awareness to arise and understand what appeared at the present moment.
But we never know the next moment. You never know. But it helps that there is all the time ayatana. Like the monk in the bus in India, who kept on repeating ayatana panai, ayatana painok. He said all the time.
So talking about ayatana, citta is the innermost.
Yeah.
Now too, but it's not known at all.
You think it's known, but really known.
The outer ayatana is known more in a day.
That's right, yeah, the object. We get lost in the object that I experience.
I think Eve has something to say about ayatanas too, or ask.
Between nama and rupa, and also what happens is when chitta cognizes an object or eye base, what have you, is right away there is the clinging and the craving, the sort of desire to start with some understanding here, even at the intellectual level, is just like wearing away the handle of the knife on the clinging that is so much suffering. So to my thinking, it's a big jump to relate it to the Four Noble Truths, but there has to be a start on this.
You said that when there's experiencing of something, there's immediately clinging. That I think that depends on the object, doesn't it? Because some realities are object of dosa. Some realities are conditioned dosa rather than clinging. So I'm just saying that it depends. But can it be known?
Yes, it can be known. You mean dosa and clinging?
And so how does this relate to, I haven't sort of followed your thread on how you relate it to ayatanas particularly.
Understanding sense spaces and sense objects.
Mm-hmm. So we don't have to call it ayatanas for that matter, right? Just what is being experienced through the doorways, different sense doors, is usually the object of attachment, of clinging.
Yes, and it is my understanding that clinging is so pervasive.
Do we have the idea that we should be seeing more clinging?
Well, maybe to become aware of it, to understand it.
What about whatever is appearing as being the object of awareness and understanding?
Yes.
Without selection, I think there tends to be the idea that there are certain things that there should be more awareness of, like more subtle clinging, for example. But the development of the path is about awareness and understanding of any reality, because what that understanding understands eventually are the characteristics of anicca, dukkha, and anatta. And that is what, it's the development of that understanding that leads to the levels of insight, rather than understanding that sees, for example, subtle clinging or this or that reality, different kind of reality.
Just a point there, I didn't see what Eve was saying as in any way contradicting what was being said. I think she was making the point that clinging is very pervasive, and I don't, as I read it, didn't see it as a contradiction or in any way antithetical to what was being said. I think she was making a point about the nature of Dhamma, which, as I read it, can be fitted in with ayatana, if you like.
Well, thank you for rounding that out, Sundara.
So which is more apparent now, inner or outer ayatana?
What do you think, Sarah? You can perhaps tell us and share that with us.
I'm asking Alberto because earlier he said that he made a comment about inner ayatana being more apparent. So I'm asking him now whether there is the same idea.
It's interesting because when I was listening to Alberto, I didn't hear that. Maybe I misheard it, but perhaps...
let's let Alberto answer.
Well, when you say let Alberto answer, but you're saying let him answer to a point that he may not have made. Perhaps you can clarify that for us, Alberto, first of all. Can you remember explicitly saying that inner ayatana is more apparent?
I think when we were talking about chitta and chittajikas, in the case of I think in chitta is inner and chittajikas are outer. I think in the case of seeing, just specifically seeing, it's more apparent that the inner ayatana in the case of seeing, perhaps, because the outer ayatana is the 7 chittajikas, which are passa, cetana, ekagata, manasikara, vedana, and sanya. Maybe missing one.
Visible object that is seen now, which is more apparent, seeing or visible object?
Right. Yeah, that's another subject.
The reason I mentioned it is because earlier, yes, you made the comment about the inner ayatana, the chitta being more apparent, and then a little later, Jan mentioned that the outer ayatana is more apparent. So that's why I asked, what about your thinking now? Yes.
Yeah, that's right. She made a comment, yeah. She also talks about seeing quite a lot, and I think recently she's been talking about seeing more than about visible object.
Usually there's not much understanding of seeing now. So usually there's a lot of thinking about what is seen, but what about the seeing right now? The understanding of just the experiencing of what is seen, not I'm seeing or anyone is seeing, but just the experiencing of the visible object. The seeing itself has to be known and has to be considered again and again. Otherwise, it's always the idea of my experience of hardness or my experience of coldness. So the seeing, the hearing, the touching has to be understood. or Zita or Sita or anyone else at home who hasn't spoken? Would anyone else like to bring anything up before we finish?
Sarah, thank you. I was considering, and then there was this Jivi Indiriya, that is this Chitta and Chittasika cannot arise with Jivi Indriya. Can you help me explain to me about this one? Thank you.
In brief, there is Nama Jivitindriya, which is a Chaitasika arising with every chitta in life. So this is the life faculty that maintains the chitta and the Chaitasikas. There cannot be even one moment of experiencing without Jivitindriya, the Chaitasika, maintaining and supporting, giving life to the chitta and Chaitasikas that experience an object. And there's also a rupa, which is Jivitindriya.
Okay.
Karma conditions a group of rupas. Jivitindriya must be there, must arise in that group of rupas conditioned by karma. So, for example, eye sense is conditioned by karma, but eye sense doesn't arise alone. It has to arise with the primary rupas and the other rupas that always arise together in a group. And in addition, because it's conditioned by karma, there must be the Jivitindriya rupa arising in that group as well. In groups of rupas that are conditioned by temperature outside the body or conditioned by chitta, like now when I'm speaking, or conditioned by nutriment, there's no Jivitindriya rupa. But in those groups conditioned by karma, Jivitindriya rupa must arise with those groups. That's just in brief for now, Sita.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sarah.
When hearing different terms that you're not familiar with, like ayatana and Jivitindriya and so on, what is the reality now when hearing about these things and thinking?
Just don't understanding and gone.
Right. Yeah.
And then find out and then come to my thinking.
Right.
Find out more.
So just moments of thinking with confusion, or moments of thinking with ignorance, or moments of thinking with some dosa, maybe because it's not pleasant if one doesn't follow what is being said, but just different moments of thinking with different mental states, experiencing the object, each one gone. And is any of that thinking and confusion and ignorance your thinking and ignorance and confusion?
Not me.
No.
Yeah.
So it's just like any reality in life. It just arises by conditions and then it's gone instantly. Seeing, hearing, thinking, confusion, doubt, pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling for a moment and then gone. So the test is always at this moment, even when listening to details that one cannot understand, still there is the reality now. The thinking is real, the doubt is real, the liking or the disliking is real. So there can be understanding here and now, anytime, any place. And that's the point. No one there.
Thank you.
this time, so maybe we just leave it now, and then we have a discussion tomorrow, Sunday. Oh no, tomorrow is Vietnamese. Monday, same time, 2:00 to 4:00. The next English discussion on Monday.